Everybody got to get it together and come together as one, and we get the best man to lead the country, which by far is Donald Trump.
People work hard for their businesses. People work hard for their homes. So wouldn't you want somebody who's going to send in the National Guard or send in authorities to stop people from looting, burning down your buildings? Wouldn't you want a president like that?
Some of the president's supporters I met during our cross-country tour. And joining me now to discuss that and much more, Democratic Congresswoman Val Demings from the battleground state of Florida. Good morning, Congresswoman. As you saw, we talked to voters about a lot of topics, but law and order certainly resonated among many of them after the coast-to-coast violence. As a former law enforcement officer and someone who nearly joined the Democratic presidential ticket, is your party striking the right balance right now in responding to the unrest and calls for racial justice?
Well, good morning. It's great to be with you. And let me say this. As a 27-year law enforcement officer, the foundation of every great community really is the opportunity to live in a safe community. And so all persons, regardless of what part of the nation they're from, the color of their skin or their ethnic background, want to live in safe communities. But we also need to understand what truly makes America the great, wonderful country that it is, and that's an individual's right to protest. So our job is to make sure that peaceful protesters are able to exercise their right, guaranteed under the First Amendment, but we also have to make sure that those who break the law, those who exercise violence, regardless of what side of the political aisle that they're on, must be held accountable. And in this country, Martha, we can do both.
A recent ABC News Ipsos poll shows 55% of voters think President Trump's rhetoric on the protest is making things worse, but 49% say Biden's response to the protest isn't having any impact one way or another. What does he need to do for his messaging to break through? It's something we saw along the trail this week.
Well, let me say this. President Donald John Trump is the commander-in-chief. And so the buck stops with him. And I said weeks ago that while America was going through civil unrest in all 50 states, quite frankly, America was on fire. We had a president, a commander-in-chief, who was walking around with a gasoline can, not trying to sow peace and calm, but actually throwing fire onto an already volatile situation. I believe that Vice President Biden is on the right track. You've heard him talk about peaceful protests, but he's also talked about accountability. Regardless, those who are involved in violence should be held accountable. And he also talked about supporting good police officers, as we should all do, but also holding the bad ones accountable. That's how we're going to get to the place where we need to get. And let me say this. You know, what we're currently seeing in our country is not sustainable. And it's really time to start moving from what we're seeing in the streets, I believe, to having roundtable discussions. We've got to continue to work with our community leaders, our law enforcement, Black Lives Matters, and other stakeholders. So start putting into place plans of action that can get us back on track so we can deal with Corona, we can deal with the economy, we can deal with lack of health care and other injustices that plague our nation.
You know, this weekend we saw the Trump administration try to block racial equity training. A letter from the OMB saying millions of dollars have been spent on what they called anti-American propaganda that teaches the idea that, quote, virtually all white people contribute to racism. How do you respond to that?
Martha, as you well know, racism has been the ghost in the room in this country for 400 years. And we see it not just in one system, we see it in all systems. And what we desperately need is a commander-in-chief who clearly understands that. We've got to deal with inequality in all things. In healthcare, we see the effects of COVID-19 on Black and brown communities. In education, if we know that the overwhelming majority of people in our prison systems, for example, are Black and brown, and the majority did not graduate high school. We've got to deal with injustices in education, in lending, in housing. And we need a commander-in-chief who clearly understands and wants to address racism in all systems. Until we get to that point, we will continue to see the problems and be plagued by the problems that we're seeing every day right now.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Congresswoman. We appreciate it very much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.